Okay, I'm fixing to hit the road. It's just about full sun up, not quite. So what I'm doing today is, I'm not really sure. It's a great position to be in. The guy I broker to came up with a couple of jobs for me yesterday, and one of them I kind of think I need to reject, but I need to go do the other two. And the one I need to reject is one picking up a stack of trailers and hauling them down to the Mexican border. And the reason I need to reject that is because the other two are far enough away that if I take that one first, I won't be able to get the other two done. The other two are long distance runs. One is to Cannon Falls, Minnesota from Rose City, Texas, which is on the other side of Beaumont, clear down in the Gulf. And then the other one is picking up a trailer in Indiana and taking it down to Seguin, Texas. So I'd really like to get those two long runs in. I seem to do better on the long runs, money-wise. There's nothing to sneeze at on the stack run, though. It actually pays better per mile. It's just that the area that it dumps me out at, where I would have to deliver, is so far away from Rose City that it would be very difficult for me to get back and get that done, and I'd have to take my reset over the weekend up in Minnesota. I really don't want to do that. It's always more preferable to take your reset at home whenever possible, because taking a reset on the road means 2 days in a motel, basically, in basic terms. Really don't want to do that, because that's a couple $100 that I'd like to keep in the bank rather than spend on sitting and watching TV for 2 days, which is about what a reset turns out to be. When I talk about a reset, I'm talking about our weekly hours. We start out with 70 hours at the beginning of each work week once we've had our reset, and we can use those 70 hours until we've used them up. Then we have to sit for 34 hours again to get a new reset. And this is something that they put in, I think, about in 2014 or 2015. Seems like we didn't used to do that, but it's a thing now. So that's something we have to contend with. When I talk about trips, I'm usually talking about going and picking up a trailer at a remote spot from where I'm at. I start out in Marlow, Oklahoma, 9 times out of 10, because that's where I live at. And that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing the road I run down every morning when I go to town. We'll go through Marlow here in a minute. Since I'm not in a huge hurry, I'm going to stop and get what we like to call a fluffy coffee out at the truck stop on the south side of town, which is just a cappuccino, but it's a specific flavor cappuccino that it's really hard to get anywhere else. I mean, I know of like 4 other places to get them, one in Oklahoma, one in Colorado, and 2 or 3 down here in this close area. So that's kind of what I'm talking about with that. But a trip to me, a lot of people think, well, if you're hauling something, you just go get it and take it where you're going, and that's it. Well, that's not the whole trip. The whole trip is leaving your base of operations and going to wherever the item is located, picking it up and then hauling it. That's kind of a standard thing for the trucking industry, because nobody really has stuff sitting in their backyard. Well, some people do, but some people are very close to their sources. But in my situation, pulling trailers, I may go to the manufacturers. I may go to a dealership. I mean, I do a lot of that. I might deliver them to another dealership. I might deliver them to an individual customer. I do quite a bit of that. So it's kind of a round trip. So when they price out these jobs, we get paid per mile. We get so much per mile to go pick up the trailer, haul it, and deliver it, and then we go on to the next job. And you don't get paid for the miles that you run in between. Like, I don't get paid the miles I run down to Rose City to go get this trailer. That's on me. It's just the way the industry's set up. And it seems kind of, well, it's not really what I would call fair, but it's just the way the industry works. Something that you need to know if you're ever thinking about getting into any kind of trucking is, especially as an owner-operator, it applies still to a company driver, but the company's picking up the tab. If you're an owner-operator, you're paying the tab on moving whatever freight it is you're moving. You're paying that up front, and then you'll be reimbursed when you get your settlement check. So that's what I do. I pay the cost of moving the trailers up front, and then I'm reimbursed, and then what's left over is my profit. So I try and be kind of frugal on the road. I look for the best fuel deals that I can get, depending on the trailer I'm pulling. Sometimes you don't have the luxury of finding cheap fuel because you can't get your big trailer you're hauling into a little gas station that might have a better price. So it's dependent upon what you're towing and all of that. And I have to run by the post office here and drop a letter in the mailbox. So got to pay my New York State tolls. Tolls by mail. $16.90 is what it cost me to drive through New York a while back when I was going to Maine. It took them quite a while to get the bill out. Finally got here. I think I was in Maine like 5-6 weeks ago. Something like that. Drop this in the mailbox. So that's another example of an expense from a job that I'm still paying. So anyway, that's how the industry works. It's goofy, but it works from the bottom up. It's kind of a bizarre deal. I don't know how many industries work that way. So now I'm going to have to go from here down to Rose City, Texas, and get my trailer. That is if he calls me off of the stack. I'm waiting to hear back from him. I texted him last night, like a 1.5 mile long text explaining, that this is logistically a cluster, and I think I need to weed out that one job and just go do the other two long distance ones. So we'll see what he says. Either way, I'm going to head south, because if I don't do that, I'm going to go pick up the stack and take it on down and not do the other one, I guess, because I won't have time to do that. So we'll see what happens. Just all depends on what he decides that he wants me to do. As an owner-operator, I do have the ability to flat out turn down jobs, and I've turned down 2 or 3. I turned down one when I got there because the trailer was just too big and too heavy for my truck. They misrepresented the weight on it when they called him. So that one got turned down. I've turned down the offers to go to California and Oregon. I don't want to go out on the West Coast for a lot of reasons, but high fuel prices, they're kind of weird laws. Oregon, you have to pay an extra permit fee even though you have your IFTA and your IRP stickers and all that. I mean, it's just weird. they're weird places. They don't seem to like truckers, and I don't particularly feel like I need to go into the states that are hateful to truckers. So, you know, they can come get their own shit, I guess. That's the way I look at it, if they want it. So those are the things I turned down. I'm basically turning down the stack if I can go ahead and pick up this other trailer. Now, what'll happen is, he said it was going to be ready Wednesday. It may be ready today. It may be sitting there on the lot. If it is, I can swoop down there and get it. If it's not ready, I can get down there and stage up and pick it up in the morning, because it is a 7.5, 8-hour drive down to get the thing. So that's what I'm going to be concentrating on today, is just getting down there to Rose City and staging up to get that trailer, or picking it up and taking off. I don't know if you can see them on the sides of the road. This is a whole different topic, but on the sides of the road, the Texas bluebonnets are really blooming. A few years ago, they had a program where people put out wildflower seeds in the medians and on the sides in the bar ditches on the roads. And if you look over there on the right, well, on both sides, the Texas bluebonnets are just thick, and the Indian paintbrushes are starting to come in with them. It gets really pretty through here in the spring when these flowers start blooming. That's really neat. So I'm basically on Highway 81 in Oklahoma, between Marlow and Duncan, Oklahoma, and I'm getting ready to pull in at a truck stop down here we call the Duncan Y. And it's called the Duncan Y because the road Y's, and it splits for Duncan and Lawton from Marlow. And this is a really lousy intersection. It's a pain in the butt trying to come from the Lawton side, coming eastbound. You come to it's more of a T than a Y, actually. You have to choose, are you going to go left or are you going to go right? You're going to turn north, you're going to go south. Well, there's a flashing yellow light up here, and that's the only traffic control there is. And it's a major pain in the butt. My dad, who lived to be 86, said this was a dangerous intersection when he was a kid, and he grew up around here. So a few years ago, they were talking about putting in a stoplight here, and I think it was the mayor of Marlow at the time decided, or city manager and mayor one, decided that he didn't see any need to put in a stoplight. Evidently, it costs money to put in stoplights and maintain them, and the city didn't want the expense. They want to claim this ground as being part of Marlow, but they don't want to pay for a stoplight to make this intersection safer. So I don't know, that some of us were kind of pissed off about that, because it would have been so nice to have a light here. So see this truck sitting up here? He's just going to sit there till he can get across, and it's not much fun. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm pulling into the Dunkin' where I'm going to go get my fluffy coffee, and I'll be back shortly. And we'll talk about something else, unless I'm so busy drinking coffee I can't talk. Talk to you next time.